Alrighty, okay, so today we're going to look at doing some composite functions. Okay, so in GeoGebra now I've got f of x equals x squared, and I also have g of x, so another function, equals x minus 4. Now what I want to show you is what happens if I combine those together. So I'm going to do it in two ways. The first way I'm going to do it is to put g of x inside f of x. And then the second thing I'm going to do is to put f of x inside g of x, and then we'll see how that's different. Okay, so we have one, this is a quadratic obviously here because it's got the x squared, this is linear. So if I take f of g of x, okay, so again that's putting, and you can see the equation comes up here, that's putting g of x inside f of x. And I press enter. What you can see is you get still a quadratic, okay, because the predominant function part is still that you're squaring everything because you're just putting g of x inside f of x. But you've got a shift of 4 units in the positive x direction. So you can see that the intercepts here, if I zoom in, the point where both of these graphs cross the x-axis is at x equals 4, which is kind of cool. I'm now going to do it in the other way. So instead of putting g inside f, I'm going to put f inside g. So I'm going to call this one g of f of x. Okay, and you can see, again, it's slightly different. So this one, still a quadratic, because again, you're putting f of x inside g, so that x in g is becoming an x squared. But now you're minusing 4, so you're shifting everything down by 4 units. Okay, and so there's our different graphs. So I'm going to show you how you could work out algebraically what f of x and g of x are going to be. Okay, so I've got this here. So I'm just going to draw my equations on. So from here we had f of x equals x squared, sorry, and g of x equals x minus 4. So when we're talking about a composite function, we're joining two functions together, and we're either putting one inside the other or the other way around. Okay, so f of g of x, okay, sometimes you might see it as f of g of x, like fog x, that's another way you might see it written. Okay, f of g of x means that you're taking g of x and you're putting that inside the function of f of x. Okay, so I'm going to do this using a couple of different colors. So I'm going to use blue for f of x and red for g of x. So if I'm talking about f of g of x, now the first thing is you're replacing the x with x minus 4. Okay, so the x minus 4 is your g part, and that x there for f of x is no longer there. So you've got x minus 4. Now the operation part of f of x is the squaring. So then you have the whole thing squared. Okay, so you've taken the x minus 4, you've put it into x, and then you've squared it. If we did it the other way around, and we looked at g of f of x, okay, so now we're putting f into g, okay, we're replacing the x, the x in g of x with the x squared from f of x. So that's going to become x squared, and then that minus 4 is just on the side there, so then you have minus 4. Okay, cool. All right, we'll do another one. So the next one we're going to look at, we're going to say f of x equals x cubed, and g of x equals x squared minus 1. All right, so again we're taking f of g of x, so we're taking g of x, we're putting it inside f of x. Okay, so we're replacing the x with x squared minus 1, so that's then going to become x squared minus 1 cubed, like that. Okay, now we can leave it like that. You don't have to expand the brackets. You don't really have to expand too many cubics at this stage. But if you would like to, you could go through and do that if you wanted to. All right. If we're going to do the other way, and we're going to do g of f of x, we're taking f of x and we're putting it inside the x of g. So that's then going to become x cubed squared minus 1. Now, using our index laws, we've got cubed to the power of 2. So that gives you 3. The rule for that is 3 times 2. So that's x to the power of 6 minus 1. So that would be our new function there. Okay. All right, we'll look at one more. So we're going to say this one's going to be f of x equals 1 over x. And g of x equals 2x squared. All right, so f of g of x, again, we're taking the 2x squared and we're putting it inside x. So that's going to become 1 over, because the operation, the fraction still stays the same, 2x squared. And again, we don't have to simplify anything from there. G of f of x, okay, we're taking 1 over x, and we're putting it inside here. So we're going to have 2 times by 1 over x all squared. Okay, now I'm going to simplify this. So that's 2 times by 1 over x squared, which simplifies down to 2 over x squared. So let's move that out of the way. Okay, 2 over x squared. All right, we might actually just do 1 or 2 more. So I'm just going to get rid of some of this working here. Goodbye. I feel like this is the most satisfying thing in the whole world to do. By the way, if you haven't written down those examples, probably quite important that you do. So go through and do that, please. All right, so the next one we're going to do is f of x equals x squared plus 3x minus 2. And g of x equals x minus 2. Now, what I want you to find is f of g of 2. Lots of 2's in this equation. Okay, so I want you to have a go, pause the recording, have a go, try and do it, and then we'll go through the answer all together, okay? Righto, so the first thing we need to find is f of g of x. So f of g of x would be equal to, now we need to be really careful with this because we're putting g into the function parts of x. Now we've got to be careful because there is 2. There's one x of the x squared, there's one x with the 3x. We need to replace both of these with x minus 2. Okay, so we're going to have x minus 2 squared, that's the first bit of f of x, plus 3 times x minus 2, minus 2 on the end. All right, I'm then going to expand this out. So remember that's x minus 2 times by x minus 2, plus 3 lots of x minus 2, minus 2. Now, if we're expanding this, we get x squared. Sorry, apologies for my messages that are coming through. Minus 4x, okay, because we have the x times negative 2, which is 2x, x times negative 2 again, which is negative 2x, negative 2 times negative 2, which is plus 4. And then we can expand this second bracket, so plus 3x minus 6 minus 2. Okay, if we group this all together, we get x squared minus x from the negative 4x and the plus 3x minus 4 minus 6 is negative 2 minus another 2 is negative 4. Okay, so minus 4. From there, then we haven't just answered the question because we want to find f of g of 2. So then we can go through and we can sub in 2. Okay, that makes 4 minus 2 minus 4, which gives you negative 2 as your answer. Okay, so f of g of 2 is equal to negative 2. All right. The other thing that you potentially could do is you could... No, actually, I would prefer you to do it this way. Don't do it any other way. Okay, changed my mind, sorry. No, definitely do it this way. I think it's a really good practice to go through and find the equation every time. Okay? All right, there is a Google Forms worksheet to go along with this, so please do that in your own time, and we'll see you on Teams tomorrow for a chat. Okay? All right, bye.